All right, you maniacs, grab your goddamn helmets, because we're diving headfirst into the Spartan Army.
Those Mullen-Labe screaming, shield-clashing
The
warriors.
guys who made ancient Greece their bitch.
It seems everyone's got a hard-on for Spartans these days.
But let's cut the crap.
And see what we can actually learn from these bloodthirsty bastards.
We've got their Wikipedia page to rip apart.
Even the site admits it needs some work.
But hey.
There's enough here to give us a picture, even if it's a bit rough around the edges.
So how the hell did these Spartans become the ultimate badasses of ancient Greece?
Did they just pop out of the womb swinging swords?
I mean, were they born with shields in hand, ready to rumble?
Well, not quite.
Oh, come on.
According to legend, it all started with this dude named, Lycurgus.
Lycurgus?
Yeah.
What a name.
He was like their OG drill sergeant.
The guy who whipped Spartan society into a military machine.
Forget kale smoothies and mindfulness.
This guy was all about transforming every Spartan citizen into a goddamn killing machine.
He was all about that wall of men shit.
Making Sparta into a society where war wasn't just a job.
It was a way of life.
And that hardcore mentality?
It was drilled into Spartan boys from a ridiculously young age.
We're talking 7 years old.
They called it the agoge.
Agoge.
Yeah.
Sounds like some new age bullshit.
And let me tell you.
What is it?
It was no summer camp.
7 years old. Damn.
That makes those crybaby soccer parents look even more pathetic.
So what exactly was this agoge?
Like a Spartan fight club?
Yeah.
Think more like Spartan boot camp from hell.
Jesus.
These kids were ripped from their families, thrown into a system designed to forge them into the toughest warriors the world had ever seen.
We're talking physical and mental toughness.
That would make a Navy SEAL shit his pants.
I believe it.
So they weren't exactly braiding each other's hair and singing Kumbaya.
What kind of crazy shit did they put these kids through?
They were encouraged to steal, to survive.
If they got caught.
They were punished.
For stealing.
Not for stealing, but for being stupid enough to get caught.
Wow.
It was all about pushing them to their limits.
Forcing them to rely on their wits and their cunning.
And don't forget the whole return with your shield or on it mentality.
Yeah.
That's some hardcore shit right there.
Die a hero or come home a disgrace.
Talk about pressure.
Imagine the weight of that expectation.
Knowing that anything less than victory was considered failure.
It was ingrained in them from day one.
Shaping their entire worldview.
These kids were tougher than a $2 steak, man.
But here's a thought.
What's that?
Sparta's whole warrior society.
This wall of men bullshit.
It was built on the backs of slaves, right?
They had these helots.
Doing all the dirty work.
So the Spartan citizens could focus on being badass warriors.
You're talking about the helots?
Yeah.
The state-owned serfs who did all the farming and labor.
The stuff that kept Sparta running.
And you're right.
Yeah.
It's a pretty fucked up system when you think about it.
They were preaching freedom and warrior virtue.
But they were literally keeping a huge population enslaved to maintain their lifestyle.
So basically, Sparta was a giant military camp built on the backs of slaves.
Makes you think twice about all that freedom bullshit they were supposedly fighting for, right?
Yeah, it really does.
It's a complex issue, and one that haunted Spartan society from the beginning.
How so?
The Helots vastly outnumbered the Spartans.
Yeah, I can imagine that would cause some problems.
It created this constant fear of revolt.
Imagine living with the constant threat of your workforce rising up and overthrowing you.
Not exactly a recipe for a chill society.
Yeah, that's enough to make anyone a little paranoid.
But let's get back to the fighting.
Okay.
These Spartans were famous for their phalanx formation, right?
What made it so damn effective?
Was it just a bunch of dudes standing shoulder to shoulder?
Or was there some kind of secret sauce?
The phalanx was like the ancient Greek version of a tank.
A tank. Yeah. A tight formation of heavily armed hoplites.
Those are the dudes with spears, shields, and armor.
So basically a walking wall of death.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, so they just stood shoulder to shoulder.
Creating a wall of bronze and flesh.
Now, the Spartans didn't invent the phalanx.
But they damn sure perfected it.
They drilled constantly.
Emphasizing discipline and cohesion above all else.
Imagine being on the other side of that phalanx.
Seeing those Spartan shields advancing in perfect formation.
You'd be shitting your pants.
It wasn't just the physical aspect that was terrifying.
No, there.
The Spartans had this psychological edge.
Yeah, they had a reputation.
Their reputation as fierce, relentless warriors preceded them.
Everyone knew how badass they were.
And the sight of that discipline failings.
Advancing with unwavering determination.
It was enough to break the morale of many an enemy.
They were a force of nature.
And they knew it.
All right, so they had the discipline and the psychological warfare down pat.
But what about the fashion?
What the hell did these guys wear into battle?
Were we talking leather Speedos and helmets with badass spikes?
Come on, give us the lowdown on Spartan battle attire.
Think minimalist chic meets ancient weaponry.
Minimalist.
Yeah.
All right, I'm listening.
They had the iconic lambda shield.
Emblazoned with.
The letter lambda.
Falconia.
Their homeland.
Got it.
A red cloak.
Okay.
Which, fun fact, was meant to disguise bloodstains.
Wait, hold up.
What?
They wore red to hide the blood.
Brutal, but practical.
That's some seriously metal shit right there.
Imagine the psychological impact on the enemy.
Seeing that wall of red approaching seemingly impervious to wounds.
It added to their mystique.
Their aura of invincibility.
Exactly.
And in later periods, they actually ditched most of the body armor.
Really went all in on that whole death or glory aesthetic.
So basically, they were going for the no shirt, no shoes, no problem look, except with way more bloodshed.
And of course, we can't forget the gloriously long hair.
The long hair.
Yeah.
Was that just a fashion statement, or is there more to it?
It was a symbol of their warrior status.
A way to intimidate their enemies.
And distinguish themselves on the battlefield.
So basically, a big fuck you to anyone who dared to challenge them.
Spartan warriors took great pride in their hair.
And they groomed it meticulously.
It was a part of their identity.
Their warrior ethos.
Exactly.
So these guys were all about action, not words.
What's the deal with their famous laconic wit?
Were they just a bunch of quiet, brooding badasses?
Or was there more to it than that?
I mean, did they ever crack a joke or tell a story?
The Spartans were known for their brevity and directness in speech.
No beating around the bush.
No flowery language, just straight to the point.
Yeah, these guys weren't known for their small talk.
They were all about getting shit done.
Kind of refreshing in this day and age of endless bullshitting, right?
Their laconic style was a reflection of their culture, their values.
So it was more than just a way of speaking.
They valued action over words, deeds, over speeches.
It was a sign of discipline.
Of self-control.
Of focusing on what truly mattered.
Exactly.
So
it's like they were the ultimate walk softly and carry a big stick kind of dudes.
But all this talk about action and discipline.
Makes me wonder, were they all work and no play?
Did they ever let loose and have a good time?
That's a question that sparked a lot of debate among historians.
So no one really knows for sure?
Some argue that their strict lifestyle left little room for leisure or personal expression.
While others suggest that they had their own unique ways of blowing off steam.
But that's a story for another time.
For now.
Let's delve into the fascinating world of Spartan warfare.
And see what made them such formidable opponents.
Exactly.
I'm in.
All right, let's get back into the blood and guts of it.
Back to the ass-kicking.
Sparta's decline started becoming really noticeable by the end of the 5th century BC.
Yeah, I bet.
Those goddamn Peloponnesian Wars, while ultimately a victory for Sparta?
Yeah, they won.
They really thinned out their ranks.
Thinned out their ranks.
Their hardcore Spartiate warrior class was shrinking faster than a dick in a snowstorm.
Fewer ass-kickers.
Means less ass-kicking.
Makes sense.
But what the hell happened?
Did all those Spartan badasses just decide to hang up their spears and take up pottery?
Well, it wasn't quite a peaceful retirement.
What was it then?
Turns out a rigid social system isn't exactly conducive to population growth.
So their system was actually working against them.
Spartiates the elite warrior class.
Yeah.
They had to marry late.
Which meant?
Fewer kids running around.
Fewer little warriors.
Plus, you could get kicked out of the Spartiate club.
For?
A bunch of reasons, like showing cowardice in battle or not being able to pay your dues.
Or?
Those mandatory communal meals.
Wait, you could get demoted for being broke?
Yeah.
What kind of fucked up system is that?
Imagine getting kicked out of the warrior club because you couldn't afford the goddamn buffet.
That's brutal.
Yeah.
The Spartans, for all their warrior badassery,
weren't exactly known for their economic savvy.
Really?
They actually banned commerce at one point because they couldn't control it.
Because they just shut the whole thing down.
So yeah, fewer ways to make money. Fewer Spartans could afford to stay in the elite club.
Talk about cutting off your nose to spite your face.
Sounds like their economy was about as stable as a drunk dude on a unicycle.
Yeah.
But hold on, didn't they have all those helots doing the work? Didn't they just squeeze more out of them?
More slaves, more money, more Spartans.
They tried that.
No.
But relying on a massive slave population is like building your house on a foundation of dynamite.
What do you mean?
It's only a matter of time before it blows up in your face.
And that's exactly what happened.
As Sparta's military power started to wane.
Their enemies smelled blood in the water.
So who stepped up to kick Sparta in the nuts when they were down?
Was it those goddamn Athenians?
I always thought those guys were a bit jealous of Sparta's warrior swagger.
They were always trying to one-up each other?
Well, the Athenians had their own problems to deal with at that point.
Okay.
But the Thebans were always a thorn in Sparta's side.
Who were the Thebans?
They were like that annoying little brother who keeps poking you.
Until you finally snap.
And snap Sparta did.
Oh, shit.
Sounds like a good old-fashioned beatdown.
Give us the gory details, Doc.
What went down in this Spartan-Theban showdown?
Yeah, what happened?
All right, picture this.
I'm picturing.
The Battle of Leuctra, 371 BC.
Okay.
The Thebans, led by this brilliant general named Epaminondas.
Epaminondas.
Yeah, a real strategic mastermind.
So what did he do?
He basically outmaneuvered the Spartans. Crushed their phalanx.
He did.
It was a massacre.
Damn.
A total ass-whooping that sent shockwaves through the ancient world.
Sounds like those Spartans got caught with their pants down.
So this Battle of Leuctra was the beginning of the end for Sparta.
The beginning of the end.
Pretty much.
What happened after that?
The defeat at Leuctra shattered Spartan morale and military prestige.
They lost.
A lot of territory, including that fertile region of Messenia.
Which was?
Basically their breadbasket.
They lost their food supply.
Things went downhill from there.
More defeats.
And internal strife.
Weakening them even further.
It's a classic tale of hubris and decline.
So the mighty Spartans, the dudes who made mole and lave a thing, ended up getting their asses handed to them.
What a twist.
Any lessons we can learn from this epic downfall?
Besides the obvious, don't rely on slaves to run your empire.
Yeah, I think we've covered that one pretty thoroughly.
Sparta's story is a cautionary tale about the dangers of a society that's too focused on military might.
Too focused on war.
They neglected other aspects of their culture and economy.
And when their military dominance faltered,
They had nothing to fall back on.
like putting all your eggs in one basket and then dropping the goddamn basket.
And that's deep.
And a little ironic considering how much we still romanticize the Spartans today.
They may have been a bunch of brutal slave-owning warmongers.
Oh, yeah.
Their story still captures the imagination.
Yeah.
It's like we're drawn to their strength, their discipline, their sheer badassery.
Even if we recognize that their society was pretty fucked up.
Yeah. It's fascinating, isn't it?
What?
Even though Sparta was ultimately a failed state,
Yeah.
their image still holds a certain power in our collective imagination.
We're still drawn to them.
We're still drawn to their warrior ethos, their discipline, their sheer badassery,
It's like they represent some primal urge
for strength and simplicity,
in a world that often feels...
chaotic and complex. They had admirable qualities and despicable ones.
It's all about nuance, right?
The key is to understand them,
In their historical context.
appreciate their strengths, and learn from their mistakes.
Easier said than done.
It's hard not to be fascinated by these Spartan badasses.
They were fierce warriors, disciplined to a fault.
And their culture left a mark on history.
That's for damn sure.
And that's what makes studying history so damn fascinating.
It challenges us, makes us think,
Forces us to confront uncomfortable truths.
and helps us understand ourselves better.
The Spartans might be long gone.
But their story isn't over, is it?
It still resonates.
Whether we see them as heroes or villains.
Their legacy is a reminder that even the most powerful empires can crumble.
And that the choices we make today...
Have lasting consequences.
Deep stuff, man. Deep stuff.
All right, folks, that wraps up our deep dive into the Spartans.
We've covered a lot of ground.
From their hardcore training.
To their epic downfall.
And all the messy bits in between.
We hope you learned something new.
Or at least got a good laugh out of our irreverent commentary.
We're not historians after all.
So what do you think, listener?
How should we view the Spartans today?
Hit us up on social media and let us know.
Until next time, stay thirsty for knowledge.
And don't be afraid to question everything.
And everyone,